Welcome, everyone, to the Sports Writers. We have Phil Stacy, Nick Giannino, Matt Williams, and Nick Kukuru, the sports editor of the Gloucester Times. Phil, the executive sports editor for everybody here. So, Phil and gentlemen, welcome. Great to see you again this week. And made it through a snowstorm, but it looks like shouldn't be a lot of cancellations in the next 7 days or so, I'm thinking here, right? Or postponements, or rather, better put.
It looks like, Bill, you and Kooks didn't get the hoodie memo for today.
Yeah, right.
I could slide one on if you want. I have one like that, just right over there. Yeah. So
depends. If you want to be one of the cool kids, it's up to you.
Yeah.
I'm in the office today. I got to look respectable.
All right, Phil. I don't know. Let's work on that for next week. Maybe I was thinking of a cap or a sweatshirt at some point. We should do that. Let's do that next week then. All right.
Well, I see people watching those the reels on whatever Instagram or whatever, where they all are coordinated and they do the same. Nino, you're the young guy in the group. What's the chocolate Bobby song where they all bob their heads? What's that one now?
Oh, I don't know what it's called, but I know what you're talking about. I've seen that. Yeah, pretty good.
Come on and do something like that, right? Like,
yeah.
Because we're so hip.
On the other hand, we don't want to force it either, but I'm sure that we could pull that off. There's no doubt.
But the trends start and end with us. So, whatever we want to do, I guess.
Right. So, yeah. So if we're looking to start a trend with baggy sweatshirts, we're good to go, I think, on that next week. There we go.
That works.
All right. Hey, gentlemen, I'd like to kind of, have you discuss a little bit, put into perspective what's happened so far in the winter high school season, and then maybe what is ahead by sharing with us a couple of significant games or two that you think have been important or informative on defining teams. Now, it could be a top team, could be a second tier team, something like that. We're always learning from week to week more about whether it be boys basketball, girls basketball, hockey, or whatever. So, Phil, let me toss it to you. And we've kind of talked about this, but I'm guessing it's been those Masco Gloucester boys hockey matchups that we've seen a couple of this year. Is that a place to start?
Yeah, absolutely. Just as a little bit of a refresher, they're 2-3 in the state rankings in terms of Division II. So clearly they're among the Commonwealth's elite boys hockey teams, and their two games have certainly played out that way. Both games have gone to overtime. Both games won by Masco. Their most recent win this past Saturday night was a great game. 5-4 was the final. About 1,000 fans at the Essex Sports Center. I mean, it was packed to the gills. Great crowd on hand, very passionate for both teams. And, it had a lot of drama. It wasn't just a game that went to overtime. Somebody scores, it's over. There was Masco coming out and scoring 2 quick goals. And people are wondering, like, oh boy, here we go. And Gloucester not only comes back and ties it, but they score 4 straight goals. And they look like they're in complete control. It's 4-2, and they're rolling. And Masco gets one back. And then we have this is, I was trying to think, like, I can maybe think of 2 other times that this has ever happened during my time at the newspaper. There was a stoppage with 3:40 left in the second period because of an injury. And it was Henry Sorensen, a defenseman for Masco. I'm still not sure if it was like a Gloucester stick or an opponent's stick, or somehow a stick came up and caught him right under his nose on the bridge of his lip and cut him pretty badly. He was bleeding all over the ice. And so he was taken care of by the trainer. He went off under his own power, thankfully. He went to Children's Hospital, got 6 stitches, so he's fine. But the 2 game officials decided at that point, let's put the teams off the ice. Let's bring the Zamboni out. Let's clean off the blood. One of the officials told me it was, I tweeted it out too. It was like infectious communication. They're just being obviously super careful with everything in terms of where we are in the world right now. So the 2 teams had about a 8-minute break. That was the de facto second intermission. They come back out. They drop the puck with 3:40 left in the second period. They play that. Masco ties the game. So now it's 4-4. The 3:40 ends. They stop. The whistle blows. They change ends. They have about a 90-second break, and then they play the third period. And that is played at a breakneck speed, up, down, up, down, up, down. And Masco puts 18 shots, I think it was, 17 or 18 shots on net. And Gloucester's Nick Tarantino saves them all. He was brilliant, sophomore goalie. Masco's senior goalie, Nick Santangelo, didn't see that many shots. He saw maybe a third of that, 6 or 7. But his team was whistled for a penalty in the final minute of regulation. So game regulation ends. They're still tied 4-4. Gloucester's still on a power play. The teams go to 3-on-3 in overtime because Gloucester has the power play. They go to 4-on-3, and they just peppered Santangelo. 5 good shots on him in a span of 72 seconds. And Santangelo saved them all. The teams got back to even strength, 3-on-3. And who do you know but Mike Bevilacqua for Masco, junior center, who was normally a third liner, got bumped up during the game to first line right wing off a face-off by OG Chris O'Grady. He wins the face-off against Jack Costanza of Gloucester, that great player, Jack Costanza. And Bevilacqua sees the puck laying there, sneaks in, snipes it. Third goal of the game, Masco wins. And it was just a thunderous roar when he scored. And as happy as you are if you're a Masco fan watching the game, you had to feel just as devastated for the Gloucester kids who left everything out there on the ice. Could have won the game 12 different times. I mean, they had so many great chances, played so well. And that's the beauty of high school sports, especially when you have 2 great teams like these 2 teams are that leave it all out in the ice, literally, in the case of Henry Sorensen. And you get a result that's buzzer beating like that. It's remarkable. I thought Gloucester head coach Derek Geary put it very well. He said, we're devastated by the loss, but this is also part of, it's kind of what I just said. It's part of what makes high school sports so great. The agony, the ecstasy, the whole, wild world of sports kind of thing, the gamut of what happens. And I just think it sets both teams up really, really well going into the state playoffs coming up later this month because they're battle tested. They played at a high level. They know what it takes and to compete and strive and go beyond, the regulation 45 minutes to get that job done. So that really kind of, to me, puts in perspective how the season has gone so far.
Nick Kukuru, I'm sure you have a little to add to that story.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that Gloucester was actually, obviously, like Phil said, they were disappointed they lost. But I actually thought they were, from who I've talked to, they weren't disappointed at all with the way they played. You play like that, you lose a game in overtime. It happens. I know they were much more disappointed last night. They lost again in overtime, 6-5 to Woburn. I think they thought that was one that they should have had, and they kind of let it slip away in the last minute. They were up 5-4 with a minute left. And let it slip away, lost in overtime, took a penalty with 12 seconds left in regulation. So, that's the second time this season they've lost to Masco and then lost the next game. So we'll see what happens the rest of the way. They got Winthrop coming up. They got BC High coming up. They got Danvers again. So they got to run the gauntlet here in the last couple of weeks. No easy opponents, I should say.
Interesting that both Masco and Gloucester are playing Catholic Conference teams this year, with BC High against Gloucester and Masconomet playing St. John's Prep.
Yeah, I think they saw what happened in the fall, with the power ratings. Those games, as long as you don't get your doors blown off completely, that's going to be a net positive for your rating. Yeah.
And speaking of St. John's, I should mention they are they're playing at Catholic Memorial Wednesday night, and they have a chance to win there if they can beat the Knights. Which I don't believe they've ever won at Warrior. I need to double check that, but I don't think St. John's Prep has ever won a game at Warrior Arena, the Bruins home practice facility. But if St. John's Prep wins, that would be their first Catholic Conference hockey championship in 14 years. And you think about all the success they've had, state title in 2015 and #1 seed in the Super 8 in 2013 and long runs, and they made the finals in 11 and 16 and da-da-da-da-da. They haven't won a conference title since 2009. So
they didn't win in one of the Mitch Shaheen. I thought they went undefeated the Mitch Shaheen year, no? With the green line. I know I saw the MC that year.
That was 16. No, and they finished 2 points behind MC that year.
But they amassed a bunch of titles back in the 70s and 80s, right, Phil? I mean, they must have had a bunch of
Oh
league
yeah,
titles
under
then.
Joey and Eddie.
Joey and
then,
Eddie, yeah.
You know, when Joe was there, obviously, I think they won 4 or 5 in a row at one point.
Yeah.
After Malden Catholic had a long run throughout the 70s. And then, you know, after that, when they had Frank Salvucci, they also had a lot of success. But that was also when Catholic Memorial started to come into prominence too, in the mid to late 80s. And they kind of dominated high school hockey for about a decade there.
Gotcha. All right. Nick Giannino, let me toss it over to you to field that similar kind of question, a defining game or two this year, you know, and maybe, you know, something about that game or something and how it might pertain to moving forward, heading towards postseason as we get closer and closer.
Yeah, sure. Well, you know, the hottest team on the North Shore outside of Beverly, which I'll get to later, is Swampscott. They've won 8 in a row now, up to 9 or 10-4 on the season after starting.
Yeah, I just checked 10-4. I was making a note of that. Yeah.
Yeah, they just came off a win over Northeast Tech, very handily win. But I want to touch on their matchup out in Western Mass against Belchertown over the weekend. That's a team in Division III that they scheduled. You know, their head coach at Swampscott, Jason Knowles, is from out in that area. He was looking for potential, you know, Division III matchups that he could schedule in the regular season to kind of prepare them for the tournament. You know, like a lot of coaches tend to do that. And Belchertown is a good team. They're right below. They were right below Swampscott in the MIA rankings last week. Swampscott went out there, got a nice double-digit win, and they're just playing some really good basketball. I mean, 8 wins in a row now, like we touched on. We spoke about the 2 sophomores there, Ryan Ward and Liam Wales last week. They continue to produce. Cam O'Brien, I think, had a near triple-double against Belchertown. He had 10 points, 17 assists, which is by far the most assists I've seen from an individual player on the North Shore this season. I don't know if, you know, Nick Kuchar over at Gloucester has any teams or players that have done that, but 17 assists is quite a few. They've scored 71 points in that game, so I imagine somewhere in the 20s for field goals made. So he's scored or assisted on pretty much every bucket in that game. Cam O'Brien's just been great, you know, kind of I wrote about that last week in my column, but kind of taking a little bit of a back seat in the scoring department to facilitate. You know, he was facing a lot of double teams and box and one defenses as a junior last year and as a sophomore even. And now he's kind of taken on that distributing role. You know, 17 assists, like I mentioned. He had almost double-digit boards in that game, scored 10 points, so near triple-double. Yeah, Swampscott's just playing some really good basketball. I think they're a team to watch out for in Division III. They could get matched up with Belchertown again. Obviously, some other really talented teams in Division III. You got St. Mary's, who's far and away the top seed right now. Bishop Fenwick is in there as well. So, you know, we'll see what happens down the stretch, but shout out to the Big Blue, and that was a big win out in Western Mass over the weekend.
You know, Nick, the only thing I can add to that is I know that St. Mary's 17-1 now has won 15 straight, and they play at Fenwick on Friday, so that's their next game. So
and they handled Fenwick fairly easily, I'd say, in the first matchup at St. Mary's. This one will be at Fenwick. I think it was a double-digit win for St. Mary's. You know, Fenwick kept it close, but you know, the Spartans kind of wore them down with their depth. You know, Fenwick doesn't have a ton of bench guys that they can go to, so if you can go on a little run against those guys, tire them out a little bit, it's you know, a lot easier to close games, and that's what St. Mary's was able to do. But Fenwick is certainly capable of beating that team as well. We'll see what happens on Friday, but yeah, St. Mary's is looking like far and away the favorite in Division III. I'm wondering if maybe they'll get moved up a division next year. We'll see. Certainly would, you know, benefit them and benefit Division III. They could probably compete in Division II just as well. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But Swampscott's looking really good right now.
You know, when you were talking about the assist earlier for was it Cam O'Brien, I think you said?
Yep.
That reminds me, I wonder if we've ever had a 20 assist game in the area.
Not since I've been here. You know,
I can't ever recall it. I mean, maybe it has been, but
you don't tend to see high assist games, you know, in the high school level. 32 minutes of basketball,
Right.
17 assists. That's almost unheard of. You see teams get a lot of assists. A team like Salem moves the ball a lot. They're going to assist on a lot of their points scored. But in terms of individually, that's pretty special.
You might want to get your hoop shovel out, do some digging, and see if we can find a
See what I come up with.
20. I mean, that'd be a great column, honestly.
Yeah.
Like you said, that's literally an assist almost every 75 seconds to do that in a high school game. That would be remarkable.
Right.
And that would mean somebody would have to be putting up a ton of points, or several guys would probably have to have 25, 30-point nights for that to happen. So
Right. And like I said, he had 10 points. So he scored or assisted on pretty much every bucket in that game. And he's leading the area, I should say, our Salem News coverage area in assists. He's close to 8 per game, which is, again, just ridiculous number, far and away the best right now. I think 2 assists better than the next guy. So
loves those dimes.
He's been really good. What's that?
Loves those dimes.
Yeah.
Always learn something here every week on this. I'm telling you, Matt Williams.
I just think that'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
A 20 assist game, that'd be crazy.
I mean, I could see if you had your teammate was Patrick Ewing, and all you had to do is shovel him the ball,
Feed him the ball, yeah.
for 32 minutes, yeah. Bounce pass in, loop pass up, get it in, whatever.
Yeah. Float it into the paint and see you later.
I mean, you don't even see 20 assist games often in the NBA. There's probably only been, I'm sure there's been quite a few, but you look at a guy like Chris Paul, he's only had probably a few of those, and he's, up there in the most assists all time. So it's just not something you see every day.
Let's shoot to Matt Williams. Matt, what can you share with us on what's happened so far, what to look forward to moving ahead for, in particular, I guess, girls hockey?
Well, I guess, last week's Peabody Winthrop game would be the best game, of the year so far, or 1-0. Coach Butch, who was looking a little bit like a founding father with his hockey hair, he let the girls shave his head after the game. He said, if we beat this team, then you can shave my head. So they did. So he's got the got the skull cap on now, I guess, to keep himself warm without those locks. But I guess locally that's going to be the game that decides the title. I mean, certainly going to impact the state power seedings and that kind of stuff. But, that's really the one that stands out. I think there was a really good non-league game between Beverly and Bishop Fenwick on Sunday night. That was the ice they were able to get, with the snow out the previous week. That was the ice available Sunday at 7 p.m. Not exactly great for the fans, but, both teams had played on Saturday. So both teams on the same, rest schedule, the same disadvantage, you might say, and it ended up being a high-scoring game. Fenwick was up 5-0 after 2 periods of play and ended up holding on to win 6-3. So that's a good barometer for Fenwick. I think, the tough schedule they play, they had lost a couple in a row, were really struggling to put the puck in the net. So to put up 6 goals against a pretty good team, that's a good sign for them. Beverly was coming off of a 4-goal win against Marblehead the day before. That was the most goals that Marblehead had allowed all year. So that was a good sign for them to get going scoring wise. So that's sort of what's going on. I mean, looking forward, not a lot going on. I mean, even, doing the math and it's, I was talking to a couple coaches, oh, you need this, you need that. And they look at me and say, well, we don't need any points anymore. It doesn't go by points anymore. We're pretty much in. So not a lot going on down the stretch. I look at the Peabody Fenwick game as a big one, just for power seeding purposes, bragging rights, things like that. Peabody's going to play HPNA as well. So those are going to be the 2 big ones for them. I mean, if they win both those games, they conceivably could be a top 8 seed and home for the first 3 rounds. If they lose both those games, they conceivably could fall out of the top 16 and only get 1 home game. So those are both really, really important swing games for them. And I think, with Beverly and Marblehead, they're both going to be in. But, I think their seeding is kind of where it is right now. I don't, even if Beverly was to win out, I'm not sure they can climb into the top 8. Same thing for Marblehead. So, right now, a lot of these teams on the girls' side are playing out the string a little bit, just trying to get better in practice, work on things, and feel good about themselves going into the postseason.
Nice.
Willie, that's that Peabody Fenwick game is obviously a Carlin Cup game on the Monday, the holiday. That'll be the first time where it's girls only showcase that day. Peabody boys obviously don't have a team, and Fenwick did not get another opponent to play that day for the Carlin Cup. So that'll be, the girls will have the day to themselves. That's kind of cool.
Is it I feel like it's happened a couple times in recent years with the whole Peabody Fenwick thing going off the rails, after the situation there, but very rare certainly, but
No, Peabody played Beverly a couple years. They didn't always.
Right. No, that was the in between. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't remember exactly what the I feel like I tweeted once, oh, this is just the girls spotlight, but so maybe once, but not often, certainly. But again, looking forward to basketball too. I think great news. Speaking of Peabody and Fenwick, the Larry Mack tournament, Peabody is in it this year. And if Peabody and Fenwick both make the finals, that would be the same day. So you'd have girls basketball and girls hockey playing each other that day. And to me, a Peabody Fenwick girls basketball game, I mean, that reminds me of like the old days, the late 90s, the rivalry games. Like that's the two teams that are both on the rise, certainly on a collision course, really don't play each other very often at all. Highly regarded teams, talent. I would circle that. And obviously that's not to throw any shade at host Marblehead or, the fourth team in that tournament that could certainly beat either of those teams and upset the apple cart. But, if that final is Peabody and Fenwick, I mean, that's going to be a packed house. I think a tremendous game. A lot of bragging rights on the line in the girls basketball. And if you're Peabody right now, I think you're 13-0 in the NEC and either 0-2 or 1-2 non-league. So that's your last chance to really prove something to Division I and say, hey, we're not a paper tiger. We're not an NEC team here. We can beat one of the top teams in the state. I mean, even though Fenwick's Division III, I think they're ranked in the top 15, top 10, in the metro papers. So, if you're Peabody, that's really your last chance to kind of prove that you're the real deal going into the tournament. So I think that game there, has the potential to really be the best game of the whole vacation week in any sport, if it should come to fruition. Again, both those teams would have to win their first round games to get there.
Although you do wonder how the absence of Olivia Found will hurt Fenwick. She's going to be out at least through the end of the regular season with an injury. And I know Fenwick has a lot of great pieces around her. I mean, Cecilia Kay is second in the whole area in scoring, and she's only a sophomore. I mean, she's fantastic.
No, the bigs are tremendous. So that's,
she's already, I think, 6'1", drawing Division I attention.
I mean, they'd have to play more of an inside game. You imagine that, she matches up with Lamazney inside there and so that's, those two, as we discussed last week, both sophomores and to get to see them play against each other and, hopefully a few more times before they graduate. I mean, I think that's, that really could be a treat for the local fans. And of course the MAC tournament is a treat every year, but as we look ahead, that's one that I definitely have circled.
Nick Kukru, I want to shoot it to you for you to get a chance at this as well. Maybe one of the school's teams that you cover, something of note there in the last so far this year, looking forward.
I want to kind of highlight an individual, over Rockport girls, Kylie Schrock, just kind of ripping it up lately. She outscored Matney on her own last week, 52-42 Rockport win. She had 43 points. And then the next night, she had 33 of the team's 35. They ended up losing to Georgetown. But, I mean, she's got to be, I don't know what exactly the total numbers for Rockport's all-time scoring list is, but she's kind of getting close to 1,400 career points now. She's been their leading scorer every year since she was in 8th grade. So she's well over 20 this year. And I mean, what's even, I think, even more remarkable about it is, Rockport's kind of rebuilding this season. They have a real young roster, a lot of newcomers into the starting lineup. So, everybody knows where the ball's going, and she's still averaging over, 20 a game easily. Just a tremendous athlete. She's about 5'8". She's got a little height to her, and that combination of size and speed is just too much for a lot of teams to handle. She's great in transition, just powerful going to the basket, and when she gets going in that game, it's tough to keep her off the scoreboard.
I wonder if she's related to Chris Schrock, who used to play football and baseball. Bill, you would remember him.
Yeah, I know the name. Yeah, yeah.
He went. He was a star at Hamilton Wenham.
Yeah.
Who became like I'm not sure if he was All-American, but he was an elite punter at Boston University when they still had a football team, and he had several NFL tryouts. In fact, he was close to making, I want to say, the Eagles.
Was there a Chris Schrock too? Was there a Chris?
Yeah, that's what I said, right?
Yeah. Okay. Chris? I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay.
So I wonder if there's any relation there or not. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know she comes from a good family of athletes. I mean, her oldest sister was a 1,000-point scorer. She split her time between Rockport and she finished up at Gloucester. And her brother went to Gloucester. He was a good football player at Gloucester, all-conference defensive end for Tony's Early back in his day. So I mean, good. They're all athletes.
Her performances for Rockport this year remind me of going back in time with my old time machine here, the Shea Fitzpatrick of Linfield, who had an incredible career and went on to Brown. I think she sustained an injury or something, but a very good athlete, big scorer, big time player, Shea Fitzpatrick. Well, gentlemen, how about your thoughts on the Super Bowl? Let's go there. Cincinnati, LA, Sunday. Probably a lot of us will be watching, I'm guessing, you know.
We got a local connection. Nick, you want to tell people about that?
Yeah, we got let me get his name here so I don't butcher that. But we have an assistant offensive line coach for the Cincinnati Bengals from the area. He's from Marblehead. Benjamin Martin is his name. He went to St. John's Prep, and he's had a long coaching career, and he's landed with the Bengals as an assistant offensive line coach. So pretty cool connection there. He's certainly, they're going to have their hands full, that offensive line. I know, what was it, 2 games ago, they let up 9 sacks, and Burrow still somehow was able to pull that one out. But, going up against Von Miller and Aaron Donald there, that's going to be a tough task. But, I haven't spoken with Benjamin Martin yet, but pretty cool tie there. So good luck to him and the Bengals in the Super Bowl. And Bill, to answer your question, I lean towards the Rams. I think the Bengals is the more fun pick, but I don't know. I think a lot of people are tending to lean Bengals, and this Rams team is scary. They're going to, obviously really want this one after losing to the Patriots a couple of years ago and kind of throwing up a dud on offense. With Stafford at the helm now, I think they can do a little bit more offensively, but we'll see. I think it's a toss-up. I don't know what the line's set at right now. Anyone know? Was it like 4 points or something?
I think it's 4.5.
Yeah, 4.5, I think.
So I think it could go either way, but I like the Rams.
Trying to look, this Ben Martin. So he graduated from college in 2005. So I'm trying to figure out which of those prep teams he would have been on. It would have been, I guess, certainly not all the way back to the Saints Super Bowls, but those teams that kind of locked horns with Everett. He probably blocked for Matt Antonelli and Johnny McCarthy and those guys. So interesting. I wonder if he went head to head with our guy Dan Connors at Essex Tech. Those line coaches. It seems like it's 6 degrees of separation with all the line coaches. They all know each other some way or another.
Yeah. I want to know, Nick, if you call him up, does he answer the phone and say, "Who day?"
I hope so.
I agree with Nino. I mean, I think it's natural to root for the Browns, and I don't have a rooting interest, so I just want to see a good game. And see the Browns. I mean, the Bengals. The Bengals would be a great story. Who doesn't love an underdog?
Ohio's just a blur to Phil. Just a blur, Ohio. Yeah. That's
Youngstown. Yeah. I think generally most people from out here, Nino excluded, root against LA. And you'd like to see the underdog win, but I just think the Rams are too strong. They are tough. Cup's a beast. OBJ could go off if they, focus on trying to stop Cup. Akers is coming on strong out of the backfield after having been injured all year. Matt Stafford's a good story if he wins. He's going to lose the franchise in Detroit all those years. Now he finally gets a shot. Von Miller's a beast. Obviously, Aaron Donald is out of this world. The one thing that concerns me about the Rams is the coaching. I think McVay kind of stinks, but I also don't think Zach Taylor is the reincarnation of Vince Lombardi either. So I'll take the Rams by 10. But what do I know?
I don't know if McVay stinks. I mean, what, 2 Super Bowls in 3 years?
Yeah, he stinks.
I think he's excellent, but he has looked a little like the moment was a little too much for him the last few weeks. And the last 2 times he got into a big game. People forget that 2018 season before they played the Patriots, they kind of blew it against the Saints too. They could have put that game away early. They let them hang around, and then they should have lost. They got saved by one of the worst calls in NFL history.
Right.
I think people are sleeping on the Bengals defense a bit here. I know the Rams defense is excellent. I know everybody talks about Burrow and Chase, but Bengals defense is good. That guy there, the lineman, Hendrickson, is that his name? Number 91. I think he's phenomenal. And maybe the best player no one's ever heard of in the league. And I mean, they really slowed Patrick Mahomes last week after a hot start. They kind of took away all the big stuff, and he didn't want to dink and dunk him to death, and they ended up beating him because of it. So we'll see. I'm also not totally sold that Stafford is elite. I think Stafford's very good. I don't know if he's elite, but I think it could be a low-scoring game like it was the last time the Rams were there.
But you're going with the Rams?
Matchup.
Yeah, I'm going with the Rams, but I think it's going to be low-scoring, probably 17-14 type of game. I think both teams will struggle offensively.
I think a big matchup, too, to watch is Chase versus Jalen Ramsey. The Rams, he loves those kind of matchups. I tend to always think that the best wide receiver is going to beat the best cornerback, other than rare occasions, but we'll see what happens. He talks the talk, so we'll see if he can walk the walk. Ramsey, that is.
Cooks brings up a great point, though. That second half against Kansas City, I mean, you're going to give Cincinnati all kinds of credit for that. Defensively, man, they were physical. They were tough. They were getting in space. They were breaking up plays. They were putting tons of pressure on Mahomes. They were forcing them into 3rd and long. I mean, that's pretty impressive, and to do what they did in overtime after not winning the toss. Again, I think the Rams are a better team, but you never know. I mean, I never thought Tampa Bay would win last year. Look what happened. So, unlike Willie, who picked them from day one, I do believe I picked the Rams to win the Super Bowl. Maybe this is coming full circle here, Bill, because if I'm not mistaken, I picked the Rams to beat Cleveland in the Super Bowl before the season started. So maybe that's why it's still in the brain.
Maybe you meant Cincinnati. We'll buy that.
We'll buy that. Ohio State, it doesn't matter. Mola High School, So maybe I just want to stick with the Rams for that reason. But hey, I wouldn't be upset with a Cincinnati win. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think the one good thing is you can't turn the game off, right? Because Cincinnati got down, 24-3 or whatever it was. And so, you figure you turn that one off and they come all the way back. And of course, the Rams had the big lead against the Bucs that they blew. So they're apt to do that too. So, I mean, even if the first half is terrible, you got to hold out hope for a second half. I mean, every one of these games, when was the last time an NFL playoff game didn't come down to the last play? Was it the Patriots? I mean, it seems like every single game on TV is coming down to the last play. So
no, 2022. Got to watch to the end. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's that's when you start to wonder, is this too good to be true? But
maybe the NFL should start running promos like the Super Bowl. It can't be worse than the Pro Bowl.
I mean, that's true. Although 7 million people watch that, so I don't know. They must be doing something right?
Well, they're not watching the Olympics, so they're watching something.
All right, so here's the big final out question here for you guys. We got 2 minutes left, so don't take too long to answer this. But Super Bowl snack, or food? What do you have to make it a great Super Bowl game and kind of feast, if you will? What do you need to have? Nick Kukuru, do you want to start?
I make ribs. I smoke some ribs every year for the Super Bowl. So I need an excuse to make 3 or 4 racks at a time. Super Bowl's a perfect opportunity for that. That's my number one.
Nice. I don't think anyone can beat that, but Matt Williams?
I just give me anything with the buffalo, wings, dip. I mean, just give me some nice spice in the sauce and I'm good.
All right.
Yeah, I'm with Matt. I think buffalo wings, buffalo chicken dip, those are A+. And I'm into the pigs in a blanket. I don't know how you guys feel about those, but anytime someone brings those are pretty good.
I am sadly doing some intermittent fasting this month. So I'll probably be eating some vegetables as my Super Bowl treat.
Maybe
I'm
some
not even
blue
going to
cheese
have
dip.
any. I'm not even going to have any adult beverages. So it's a battle of willpower.
I've been trying. Phil, I'm trying to be good like you, except I felt that could cut loose at least once in a while, so the buffalo thing sounded good to me, to be honest with you. That's something I hadn't thought of, because
I should have muted you guys when you started talking about this, because now it's going to be running through my head.
Yeah. Well, you'll be a stronger man, Phil, for standing up to us.
I don't know about that. We shall see.
All right, gentlemen. You guys have a great Valentine's Day and Super Bowl, and we'll talk again soon.
All right.
Thanks, Bill.
See you guys.
Yeah.